Welcome to Under the Umbrella, a series where we invite experts to share with us the key things a homeowner needs to know about buying or selling a property safely and securely, all right under the umbrella. So how does this show work? On our table, there are a few questions that our production team has prepared based on the top questions asked by our clients and viewers. These questions are wrapped up in the cocktail umbrellas. Our guests will select one umbrella at a time to open and answer the questions that are wrapped inside. Once they answer all the questions, they will be rewarded with a drink. So let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Under the Umbrella. In today's episode, we have with us Dora Cheng, the General Manager for GuocoLand Singapore. So hello Dora.
Hi Rain.
Hi. Okay, so can you share with us a little bit with myself as well as the audience, what do you do?
Okay, so I'm actually the General Manager of GuocoLand and I've been in the industry for about 15 years now. So I have experiences in sales, marketing and leasing of residential properties. So as the General Manager of the residential component, I'm responsible for the conceptualizing and implementation of the company's sales and marketing strategies. And also, I'm also involved in the product development, the product positioning, and also the communication strategy for the residential development. So if you're familiar with GuocoLand, we have with us developments such as Warwick Residence, Midtown Modern, Martin Modern, Midtown Bay, Mayor Mansion, and of course, Leiden Residence and Goodwood Residence.
That sounds really exciting, but that's like a lot of things that you are doing. So what do you love most about your job?
Actually, the most joy comes from witnessing the purchasers enjoying the residential units that they have bought and also showing off the units to their friends and relatives.
You are describing me because I'm a purchaser
Yes, indeed.
of GuocoLand project.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we start with the questions?
Sure.
Maybe you can help to pick up the first umbrella. Thank you, and pass me the questions here. So basically, we have some questions that's probably asked by some of our viewers and audience. Okay. Okay, so Dora, so this question says, what is the role of the developer?
Okay, as a developer, our main goal is to develop a property that not only achieve the needs of the residents, but also to add value to the precinct. So it's not just the development, but also its surrounding. So to achieve that, we need to really study in depth and recognize the potential of the particular development. So starting from the choice of the site, so even from the start whether we were to buy the site or not, to the eventual development, we also need to think who will be the target audience, what kind of community will enjoy this site, this location, this development, and how will the eventual development add value to the precinct. So we will therefore consistently study trends and analyze the user's expectations and needs, and then we will work with the most suitable architect to design the proposed development.
So I see actually GuocoLand has very keen interest in integrated developments, so namely Warwick Residence and also Guoco Midtown. So I think that is probably something that you guys are looking at on top of the development itself, is also the precinct. Am I right to say that?
Yes, so with Guoco Tower, for instance, for those of you who have visited Guoco Tower and the mall, you will realize that it is directly integrated with the Tanjong Pagar MRT station. So we are experienced in developing, designing and managing integrated transit-oriented development. So we are quite proud of Guoco Tower in the sense that we think Guoco Tower actually transformed the whole branding of the Tanjong Pagar precinct. So we are bringing with us this experience that we had at Tanjong Pagar into the Beachwood Bugis area to do another transformation and bring to Singapore the Midtown.
Right. That's really interesting because I see that for Guoco Midtown, we actually achieved quite good sales from the launch day.
Thankfully for us, the buyers bought into the whole concept and understanding the convenience of living directly above the MRT interchange. So the Bugis MRT interchange, which Midtown Modern is sitting above, actually brings you to many different parts of Singapore. So because it's sitting at the junction of the East-West line and the downtown line, So it brings you to all the job centres along the east-west line, plus the children are at ease to go to all the schools in Bukit Timah along the downtown line. So we are quite happy and thankful for the sales.
Yeah, so even for my clients, they are very happy with GuocoLand being the master developer for this area itself. Yeah. Okay, so why don't we move on to the next one, Dora? Thank you. All right, let's see. As a developer, how do you plan and design a development around the needs of your potential homeowners?
Okay, there's a lot of research on this. So it is not just purchasing the land and paying the right price for the land, right? We have to also research on our target audience and understand their needs. So for example, how the target audience will use the unit in that sense. Okay, for example, at Midtown Modern, right? Majority, in fact, almost all the 2-bedroom units were sold on launch day. So this group of buyers, who they are, we see them as working executives who are working in the CBD area, maybe with young school-going children. So what do they need? How should we design the kitchen, for example, such that they use the space well? Now, designs are always designed from inside out so that the spaces are comfortable and usable. So the functional layouts in our design allows them to maximize every square footage of space. So the good design, I would say the good exterior designs, in fact, also makes the homeowners proud to tell people that, hey, I own this unit in this luxury development, for example. So they will be at ease, to always welcome or invite their friends over to entertain at home.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, some of my clients really complimented GuocoLand for their very efficiency in terms of the floor plan layout, as well as the usage of space, which I think is quite important in today's increasing land prices, isn't it?
Yes. So you see, it is again a balance of affordability with the usability of the unit, right? So we cannot be building units with huge built-in sizes, and then nobody can afford it. Then there's no point in that. But rather, how can our units be affordably priced and yet reaching the maximum usage for the buyers?
Shall we move on to the next umbrella?
Okay, what's this now?
Let's see what our viewers have got to ask. As a homeowner, am I able to opt out of the selected finishings provided by the developer and furnish the unit themselves?
Okay, so for some developments, you can request really for slight alterations and adjustments. So for example, some people may write in to request that the wardrobes not be built or fitted into the unit but left as a freestanding wardrobe. However, because these are all procured as a bulk for the whole development, there will not be any savings for the purchasers when they ask for such alterations. In my view, every development is painstakingly designed, even the finishes, the provisions, what kind of marble, what kind of timber that goes into the unit for the users to use. So actually, for us at GuocoLand, we seldom receive requests for alterations.
Probably because your selection of materials are always very cool.
Yeah, that's the views of a buyer.
Let's move on then. Maybe Dora can help me with the next one.
There you go.
This is actually quite important question. So in the developer's point of view and data, what are some of the most important things homeowners should look out for when they are buying a new launch property?
Okay, so in most people's views, when they are buying a property, many people will say, location. Whereas at GuocoLand, we tend to differ a little bit. So we say, yes, location is a big thing. You have to buy in the right location, right? Because location means the convenience for you and your family as well, who are the people living in the unit. But location has to be actually matched with a very good concept. All right, then it will attract the right group of buyers to form the community in the development. So it is not just the location that will sell. The location have to be coupled with concept and community, and then the eventual product will be what actually matters on a longer term basis lah. So I like to say, for example, at Warlick Residence. So Warlick Residence is actually the residential component of Guoco Tower. It sits above the Grade A office building, and many people initially wondered how you can live in the city, in the middle of all the offices. But despite it being the cheapest unit from $3,000 onwards, and we even transacted at $5,000. There are still purchasers who are keen to purchase because they know that they are buying not just a unit in Warlick Residence, they are actually buying into the exclusivity of the community. And this community is made up of like-minded people who share and enjoy and appreciate the property like themselves. So they will not, because of, most of them are buying really for their own use, right? And they will take care of the premises, so that it is maintained at a very high quality even on the longer term period. So the resale prices is always kept attractive. And because of the like-minded, I always like to say this, the like-minded residents, right? They are also like you. They don't sell and and enjoy the turnaround investment so quickly. So instead of speculators, you don't attract people who will buy and sell immediately after their seller's stamp duty is due, right? So you get people who are enjoying on a longer term basis, and then you see prices at Warlick Residence being maintained very healthily.
Other than the higher end properties that GuocoLand handles, probably you can share with our viewers and our audience any advice you might have for people who are upgrading from HDB.
Okay, yes. I always feel that if this is your first private property, okay, always buy within your means. That's very important. Don't overly stretch because you want a larger unit than you can afford. Always remember that there's always an opportunity, to upgrade into a larger unit, for instance, or to even move nearer to the city in that sense, or even from the city moving outwards. Look at yourself in the immediate future. For the next 5 to 10 years, what are your needs? Don't have to think about your retirement or if you are in your early 30s, how you use it, because the resale market in Singapore is very active, even for private properties. So there is always room for another upgrade.
Sounds like very good advice you have for our first-time HDB upgraders to their first private property. So let's take a look at the next question then. Okay, back to our new launch question. So what should a client look out for when they are visiting our show flat?
Okay, you see, usually launches are really exciting because it's a brand new product. So many people will want to visit and many people will want to buy at launch, because at launch you get a lot of choices, right? All the units are available, you have the different types, you have the different facing, and prices are usually at its most attractive lah. So depending on your needs, you may want to take note of the units layouts and the development facilities. If these are what you really need, the 2-bedroom units, for example, there may be 2 different layouts. For example, do you like that the rooms be a bit more private and tucked at a corner, or you prefer a more open concept of the unit such that there are no corridors, but you get more spacious living dining spaces, and how these spaces actually look even bigger and feel more usable than other layouts. So yes, it's again a lot of studying to be done because you're buying from plans. But usually at launches, we have the salespeople who studied before you actually. So like Rain, who studied the development before you and will be able to advise you accordingly depending on your needs. So Rain?
Yes.
What are some of the things that your clients are more particular about? What do they look out for?
I think living in an Asian country, we still have a lot of our buyers preferring not to face the west sun directly. I think that is quite top of the list. I think most developers try to position the building in a pretty, I would say, north-south
Yes.
orientation. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So second on the list is probably like what you said. I think investors, they actually quite like the dumbbell layout,
Yes.
whereby they have better usage of space in terms of the living and dining area. I think these are quite top of the list criteria that some of my clients do have.
Yeah, so on that, right, if we are like developers, if we are developing something that we think the target audience are mainly Singaporeans purchasing for their own use, we will be very careful to try to avoid any units facing the west if we can.
Correct.
However, because developments in the city also actually attract expatriates who are working in Singapore to rent and lease. So actually, like just prior to this, I was meeting with some of our buyers that were late residents. A few of them who are from Europe. They were telling me how much they enjoy their unit, and their units are facing the west. See, because these people from the colder countries, they really enjoy the warmth, of the sunlight on them. So if you are an investor and you are buying a unit in the city and you think your tenant could be an expat, okay, don't worry, buy the West Sun unit. Usually it's cheaper, the West Sun unit. Yes, and it will be easy to rent because they really like that sun coming into the unit.
Well, there's always a unit for everyone,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So let's move on to next one.
Sure.
One of the viewer would like to ask, when is the best time to buy a new launch property?
In my view, any time is the best time. So long as you are ready, your funds are ready, and you can find financing for the property, you should buy. It is always best, of course, in some people's views, to buy actually at launch, because then you have more choices. You have units of various facing, for example, available for you to choose, and prices tend to be more attractive lah. But there are also many people who prefers to buy closer to TOP, so that they can control the sales proceed of the current unit with the purchase of the new unit.
So Dora, for properties that's going to TOP in I would say like maybe in the next year or so, wouldn't these buyers be buying at much higher compared to launch prices?
Well, usually towards the end, the units that are left over are also on the higher floors. So these are predominantly priced higher because higher floors you get wider views, So in that sense, you don't really pay that much more a premium as compared to at launch, because you get the better units, right? You get the higher floor units.
Alright. So usually towards the end of the TOP, do developer usually have inventory left in the smaller or bigger units?
It all depends on which developments. So interestingly, for Martin Modern, we were left with the smaller units instead, as compared to some other developments the usual trend are usually the larger units that are left over. So most likely the 4 bedrooms, for example, because 4-bedroom buyers usually purchase for their own use. So they prefer this contra of sales, right? So that they sell the current and then they buy the new, and then they move into the new. And then the smaller units, usually it's their first property, they're still staying with somebody, for example, like parents, or they're buying for investments. So usually they will can buy earlier in that sense, because they do not need the unit to stay in. But depending on the areas, the location, the development, so like Martin Modern actually attracted a lot of the larger unit buyers. All the 3-bedroom premiums and the 4 bedrooms were fully sold way before we completed the developments, mainly because they could recognize the rarity of such a good layout in the market. So again, if you really like the layout and you like the property and you have you are able to find financing means, then good to buy early.
Yeah, I think in general, as long as the buyer buys within their affordability, I think that's the most important part.
That's right.
So let's move on to the last question.
Okay, whoa, last one. There you go.
So if the public contacts a developer directly, will they be able to get a discount?
Okay, so usually developers do not market the properties themselves. So we engage marketing agencies and salespersons from the agencies to market the development for us. But they are not just marketing the development, you know, because there are a lot of background to this. We actually engage the marketing agencies from the early stages of purchasing the land to develop a marketing plan and even discuss with them, you know, on what are the unit sizes, what are the number of units of each sizes, for example. And they always will, with their experience with selling units, right, advise us on the right selling price. So please work with the sales agents because they will always have the best price.
So we've come to the end of today's episode. So thank you, Dora, for coming on board with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me too. And I also like to add that, you know, Rain has been marketing GuocoLand properties for quite a while now. And it's really rare to meet with a salesperson who is as passionate with her job as she is. So she actually is very hardworking and spent a lot of time studying the developments, the precinct, the transformation of the area, the government policies, for instance. So she's not really just a salesperson. She's more like a consultant or even a friend that you can trust. And she is always prudent in advising you on the right choice to make when you're purchasing a property.
Thank you, Dora, for the really kind words, and I look forward to continue to market more GuocoLand properties.
Sure.
So thank you once again for coming. Let's
Cheers.
Cheers.